including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Yo, turn me up in the headphones.
Like that?
Yeah.
Bad boy. We ain't gonna stop.
Now it's Sean on the hot track, melt like it's hot wax. Put it out, all the stores, bet you can shop that. Leave a know you with a hot hat, frontin' like bad boy ain't got tracks.
Stop that.
There's no guy slicker than this young fly mister. Nickel 9 liquor, floss you die quicker. Did bedtime, out of town pie flipper. Turn Chris Styles to a crooked eye sipper.
Everybody wanna be fast, see the cash. Play around they weak staff, get a heat rash. Anything a bad boy way we smash. 100 G stash, push a bulletproof E-class. I'm through with being a player and a baller. Just want me one bad chick so I can spoil her.
Mates wanna be the one you respect. Keep
Boy,
'em in
that
your deck,
anything in
rock
Bad
your
Boys
socks,
way
your
we
silver
smashed
still
there
D-Mac.
didn't age too well, huh? With all of these things going
Anything I
on.
touch, I bruise. Puff make his own laws. We ain't stuck with rules.
Listen.
You know you can't touch it, dude.
Don't push us, cause we're close to the edge. We're trying not to lose our heads. Why you wanna take us under?
Welcome back into hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the show, of course, where we hit all the trending topics across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. And hour 2, we are getting into that man and an additional case that has come out against him. I'm going to tell you that I went through the 85-page brief. Andy?
I was just listening to the song, it was like you were kind of prophesizing a little bit, or you were kind of telling on yourself a little bit without
talking cash mess.
I'm just saying.
Like when you, and I remember the thing about this, right? This was the shiny suit era in hip hop. This is when excess started to explode. It was like, enough with that dusty gangster rap stuff that you guys had out west. You know, we're about to bring it back here. We're about to get fly like Harlem cats. Andy?
No, I was gonna say it got to be a Harlem thing. You know, the flashiness or whatnot.
It is.
Like for a while, you know, for anybody out there living in the East Coast, I used to say the boroughs represent a different type of swagger or, you know, aura, right? When you think of like Brooklyn hip hop, you think of those who could rap, who got bars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got Biggie, you got Fab,
Jay,
you got Jay-Z, then you got Harlem, right?
That's
Diddy,
the flashy
Dipset, Cameron,
Damn, yeah,
you know what I'm
Dame,
saying?
all of them, yeah.
Flashy, right? Staten Island, that's Wu-Tang.
That's grimy.
That's just different.
Yeah.
Queens, I can't really pinpoint Queens per se, but you know, you got LL, you got 50, you got Nas. I just think another borough of spitters, and then you have I'm missing one.
What did we do?
Manhattan,
like the island.
Yeah, I don't know anybody from Manhattan,
but listen,
Harlem, they're flashy.
Facts on facts, and and their personalities are very big, very braggadocious. You think about Dame, you think about Diddy. Really, let's be clear. You think about, and you know me, I like to follow themes and trends, but you think about those guys from the late 90s, early 2000s, those moguls from that era. your Dame, right? Your Suge Knight, Diddy, Irv Gotti, all of those guys that were transitioning from black famous to TRL, white famous, right? I think I've shared this story before, something similar that in the early 2000s, I used to work at Virgin, and Irv, I think, produced a remix for us for a Beanie Man album. So I got to, spend some time in a work environment or whatever. And one of the things that struck me, and it was the moment for me, I was like, oh, Ja Rule's gonna fall off hard. And I felt bad because I really liked Ja at the time. Holla, holla. But Irv was really excited about some invite they got for MTV. And he was like, yeah, something, screw BET. They were all on this MTV wave. And I was like, don't you realize that MTV follows what BET sets? And if you start ignoring BET, those MTV people are going to burn you out. And then where are you going to be? And that's kind of what happened. But listen, I think when hip hop went pop, that seems to be when a lot of this stuff started happening, the ascension of power, I don't know that to be a fact. That is just me kind of looking back over the times and some of the dates in some of these things. So, that's just what I think. Urban Spinster says, which job did you like the best? They are all my favorite. And I'll tell you why. I know that's such a cop-out answer. It's BS. But because they were all stepping stones. I could not have gotten to the next one or the next one without the experience of the times before and the knowledge that I garnered from them. So it just really interesting time, especially to be a woman, a black woman in hip hop, coming up in the music industry and then around sport, just that whole time, and looking at what is happening now to, like I said, these moguls that were on top. 25 years ago, these were the guys, and look where they all at now. So when we come forward, we're going to get into what is being said, some of the things that I think people have missed in these documents, and where we're currently at with everything from everyone as far as it relates to this, plus a little additional stuff. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough.
Listen up, City of Los Angeles renters that live in rent-controlled units. Landlords can now increase your rent by 4%. Know these 3 facts. The rent increase is allowed February 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024. An extra 1% per utility up to 6% can be added if the landlord pays the entire gas and electric bill. And illegal rent increase complaints can be filed at housing.lacity.org. Check if you live in a rent-controlled unit and learn more at housing.lacity.org. Be informed, be protected, be at home.
Meet Cheryl.
Hey.
She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
If we're the ones disproportionately impacted by these climate catastrophes, why should we be silent? Turning up the volume all year long on the climate conversation for KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So let's get into this Diddy story because it is a lot, and we have audio, and we have court documents, and we're gonna, dive in. So on Monday, he was sued in federal court by a producer named Little Rod, who worked on the most recent album, the Love album, right? And Lil Rodney Jones, real name, is accusing Diddy of sexually harassing him, drugging him, and threatening him for more than a year. He claims that he lived and traveled with Diddy from September of 2022 to November of 2023. And during the time, he said that he recorded hours of video and audio of Sean Combs, his staff, and others engaging in serious illegal activity. So some of the allegations that were alluded to in the brief is that Combs allegedly forced Jones to procure sex workers, sometimes utilizing Instagram, going to strip clubs. For example, he said that Diddy, when they were in Miami, told him how to approach potential sex workers, and that they would know that he meaning Little Rod was a representative of Diddy by wearing a certain bad boy hat, and he had to go and procure them. So that's just the tip of the iceberg, what is in these documents. He's suing for $30 million. He also says that he is listed on, I believe, 5 or 6 tracks on the Love album. And he said that though they had a sort of handshake deal, work for hire agreement, he wasn't paid. And then when he tried to ask for his money, Diddy only wanted to pay him $29,000 for all of the work. His requested amount was $51,000 along with his publishing and royalties, which he said Diddy refused. He even went so far as to make a video about wanting to get his royalties and payment from Diddy which he posted online shortly before. And when I say shortly, I mean within maybe a month or so before this suit was filed. So that in and of itself is a lot to unpack. But when you get into some of the details, he is throwing a great number of people under the bus and accusing them of some things. Like, in it, there are screenshots and photographs, references to video. There are some names that have been redacted, but there are footnotes for those names. One is listed as, and I will break down the scenarios, don't worry, but an R&B singer who recently performed at the Super Bowl. Another is listed as a rapper, a male rapper who had a relationship with Nicki Minaj. Another is listed as a Grammy Award winning rapper, singer who, did they call him Grammy Award winning? Maybe I'm getting the Grammys on the titles mixed up. I think the Grammy was for the one for the Super Bowl one. But of a singer that had an altercation with a Bahamian woman. That's what they said. Well, did they say Barbadian? Maybe they said Barbadian, but I think someone said Bahamian, but they have that mixed up because, sometimes people confuse that. Anyway, it also claimed that Diddy showed Little Rod a video in an attempt to groom him and coerce him into a sexual relationship. The video, he says, contained what he said was Stevie J, someone the producer Lil Rod looked up to, and another male in a, private situation. But he says that Diddy told him, this is what everyone does. This is how men get on in the industry, and I'm going to make you producer of the year. This is what he is alleging was told to him and shown this video. Well, what I can say is that the video has since been debunked as being Stevie J. It is a male adult film star who came out and said, hey, this is me. He goes by the Instagram name Knocked Out 33. I think that's on Instagram and X, but not certain, but it's one of those. And so he said the screenshot is of him, not of Stevie J, right? Stevie J came out and was like, I wasn't that guy the last time, and I am never going to be that guy. I'm one of God's favorites. Don't play with my name. Stevie J was named in the lawsuit along with Cuba Gooding Jr., Justin Combs, and Young Miami's cousin. Her name was redacted. Little Rod alleged that on Thanksgiving, I can't remember if it was 2022 or last year, that Diddy asked him to go into a bathroom and do cocaine. He declined, and when he was out, he said that they basically sicked Young Miami's cousin on him to corner him in the bathroom and attempt to perform oral sex on him. He declined and got away. He said she ran in the room and took off her clothes and straddled him in front of Diddy and other bad boy staff and assaulted him. This is what he claims in this suit. One of the things. He also mentions a situation where he says that Diddy shared with him that both the rapper, excuse me, that is allegedly an ex-boyfriend of Nicki Minaj's and the R&B singer that performed at the Super Bowl both had close relationships like that with him, as he was alleging in the video with Stevie J. He also claims that Puff's chief of staff groomed him as well and set him up. He said one time he complained to her that Puff would walk around naked or go get in the shower before they had a meeting and tell him to come into the bathroom, and that it was a clear shower door. So uncomfortable, unprofessional, yes, if true. And that she said, well, you know how Diddy is. Sean is just being Sean, and to ignore it. He said he did not, though, and that essentially he was being groomed. He also claimed that Diddy flashed guns in front of him, and one particularly disturbing incident that he detailed occurred, I believe he said in, let me get the exact time frame because I want it to be correct. Well, I actually don't have it. But what he said was that he was at a studio here in Southern California working on a project. It was actually a writer's camp. And sometimes they have, camp where they get people together and they try to put together some beats and songs, and they kind of fast track them through it, boot camp style, get in there and lock in and see if they can find the song, right? So he is alleging that on this particular time, he was taking a break, was in a lounge area that was outside a restroom. He said he heard arguing in the studio, and that Puff, his son Justin, and one of Justin's friends, a guy named G, emerged, and they were arguing. They went into the bathroom that was just outside of where he was, whatever, relaxing, chilling, hanging out, whatever. He said that he heard arguing, and then he heard several gunshots. And that soon after, when the door was opened, Justin and Sean walked out, and that the friend G was on the floor with a gunshot wound to the abdomen, bleeding, and that he, meaning Lil Rod, the producer, was the only one to attempt to help him and administer first aid. He then went on to say that, when he couldn't stop the bleeding, they called 911, but they moved little G outside, and that they lied to police and said that it actually was a drive-by shooting and that there was a party going on inside. He said that he knows for a fact that either Justin or Sean shot this man. He also included the news reports about the drive-by shooting that happened outside of the studio. He also included photographs of the bloody bathroom and towels and so forth, where he said he was the only person helping to save G effectively. He said he still has the clothes that he wore that night, and that he believes that there is DNA evidence on them as well. That was rough. And you wonder, when you think about the fact that Misa talked about last year, Misa Henson, who is Puff's oldest Justin's mother, that Puff was a bad influence and he got his son in bad situations. Some are wondering, besides the DUI, is this some of the things that she's talking about? Because Justin is named as one of the defendants in the suit, along with Diddy, and it also includes Corin, who is Diddy's CEO of staff assistant, Christina Coram, Universal Music Group CEO Sir Lucian Grange, former Motown Records CEO Ethiopia Hapatapian. Apologies if I mispronounced Ethiopia's name. Shout out to her, though. It's a long story. And Universal Music Group, and is basically saying that they work together with Diddy to form a RICO enterprise. So they're going for it really well. And you can file civil RICO suits. We are learning a lot through this legal process of these last couple of months, which some people are dubbing hip-hop's Me Too movement. He's seeking $30 million, which I mentioned. And Justin Combs' representatives have already spoken out, and they have said that they categorically deny all of the absurd allegations. They said that they are all lies. It's a clear example of a desperate person taking desperate measures in hopes of a payday, and that there will be legal consequences for all defamatory statements made about the Combs family. Now, Diddy's lawyer is a woman named Sean Holly, who I mentioned. There's a TV show on Amazon Prime Video, I should say, Reasonable Doubt, that is loosely based on her life story. Sean also worked with Johnny Cochran during the O.J. Simpson trial and has represented various other celebrities in cases. So she's a black woman, very well respected, and knows her stuff. And she is Diddy's lawyer right now. He also claims, Lil Rod, that Diddy shared with him that he was the one actually responsible for the shooting that night in the club that involved Shine. And once again, someone who has no connection to this currently, but thrown under the bus, he said he told him that Jennifer Lopez, which, you know, this isn't new information, but once again, J-Lo's probably like, now why am I in it? That she brought the gun into the club in her purse, and that Diddy went to her after he had an altercation, allegedly. This is all according to Little Rod. This is all in the filing, and that she handed him the gun, and we know what happened after that. So a lot there, a lot to unpack. Fahima in the chat says, does this mean Jaguar Wright was telling us the truth? No. So here's my thing with Jaguar, right? We've all, like, these stories have been circulating for years and years and years. They have been on websites like Lipstick Alley. They have been featured on Twitter. There have been videos made, people recycling and reusing this information. Do I believe that some of the things Jaguar Wright said are true? Some, but not the most outlandish stuff. And I'll tell you why. I think that people exploited Jaguar. I think that they took advantage of her mental state, and as she saw that it got her attention, she pushed further with it. But those are just my thoughts on that. When we come forward, we'll get into more of the details of this lawsuit, and then I have a question that I want to ask about personal accountability. We'll get into all of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Puff, why try? I'm a thug, I'm a die. I be out in Jersey, puffin' Hershey. Brothers ain't worthy to rock my derby. They'll never judge me when I'm in the club, G. Though I know the thug be wanting to slug me. Could it be I move as smooth as Bugsy? Or be at the bar with too much bubbly? Yo, I think it must be the girls wanna lust me. Or is it simply the girls just love me? Brothers wanna rock my rolls, rock my clothes, rock my ice, pull out Glock, stop my life. I'm like, man, how these people got that trout? Used to be my man, how you gonna plot on my wife? Do you think he snaked me?
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. NBC News is projecting former President Trump as winner of the Michigan Republican primary. Trump has held a commanding lead in the state throughout the primaries. Although Biden did not have a major primary challenger in the contest, he did face some headwinds in Michigan as Arab American activists in the state rallied voters to cast an uncommitted ballot to protest his handling of the Israel-Hamas war. Improvements to streets and sidewalks, recreational areas, parks and plazas are in the 5-year plan for the nation's capital. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, who is black, presented more information about the $400 million downtown public realm plan, which the mayor hopes will bring people back into Washington. 4 projects expected to be catalysts for growth include the Connecticut Avenue Capitol Promenade, I Street Greenway, the Vermont Avenue Connector, and Gallery Place Festival Plaza. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen. Plus, a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyaudio.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyaudio.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Thea Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Thea Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Thea Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, services and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I like this right here. Bad boy. Now we don't stop. Faith. 99.
We can dance, dance, dance. Clap your hands, hands, hands. All night. If you're in the mood, do what you wanna do. All night long. Happy days are here, so leave your cares behind. Just relax your mind. It's so easy to do it. Just enjoy yourself, right? Get your groove on. Take your time tonight. Take your time. Ain't nothing but a party.
Welcome back in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Andy, I have a question for you. Because you know it's coming, right? And even as I'm sitting here, I'm making jokes, but I'm like, ooh, somebody's going to be upset with us, right? For playing Diddy tracks during this current period. And we already know, I know what your opinion is about this, but I have a next level question to it. We know the stuff that about with R. Kelly. A lot of people do not listen to R. Kelly's music anymore. They refuse. Even songs that were produced by him or written by him, but not his performance, right? But as I was reading some comments today and going over things, I saw someone mention that Harvey Weinstein, as a producer, is responsible for hundreds of films. And nobody is saying we should not watch those films or that they are putting them on the shelf. The Cosby Show, like, I saw someone alluded to one of the things that's on social media, Bronny and LeBron James, and they alluded to the pilot episode of The Cosby Show when Theo and Cliff were having that talk, and Theo was like, you should just love me for being a kid. I wouldn't love you any less if you weren't a doctor. And he was like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard, right? And they talk about that Cliff, as a doctor, his wife a lawyer, always pushing their kids for excellence, not letting them coast, and that there was a lot of greatness that came from The Cosby Show. We all agree with that, but most people have tossed it to the side, or even if not, they're not going to admit to watching it. So do you think, because no one asked us to do it, so to speak, we just took it upon, that's the next step, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but do you think that it's interesting that Harvey Weinstein, who they said had a whole industry, basically, of women and films, there was conversation about, I can't remember what film it was, an actress where she almost died filming a scene, and he was on set and he was pushing for some things and things of that nature. But again, no one's banning that film or asking that they not be watched. So what are your thoughts on that?
I really don't have much thoughts, really. I mean, it's just life, right?
Right, but is it us? Like, are we taking the wrong approach and when I say we, I'm saying us as a black community.
Wrong approach with what?
With the people that are taking the steps to, I'm not listening to that music. I'm not watching the Cosby Show. I'm not, and pretty soon there's going to be a whole lot of songs that people are going to be like, don't play that Diddy.
I mean, I'm sure I'm not going to single us out. I think it's all across the board. I think there's races who all feel the same way. I wouldn't just single us out. I'm sure there's going to be a section of us who's not going to want to listen to Diddy anymore. I agree. I understand.
But do we even know what, like the average person who talks about Weinstein probably doesn't know what films he's produced, to boycott them. So I don't know. It's hard, right?
It's just
complicated.
I mean, I know we're already, we're very critical of our people. So, we're probably not even thinking about Weinstein right now. You know what I'm saying? But based off of what you just said, it would be nice if we would all decide to boycott some of his movies. But hell, there's a lot of actors, there's a lot of other entertainers that we could boycott. But, it's just unfortunate that obviously it comes from our people, people that we would consider to be leaders in our community based off of, their trade or whatnot. And, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a sad situation. We're going to play the clip from Little Rod in a second where he was asking, pleading with the internet to help him get his funds from Diddy. I should also mention that he alleges that Diddy groomed him to pass him off, allegedly, to actor Cuba Gooding Jr. And as I said, there are photos and videos. And the thing that is so, again, I'm not even speaking on, I guess, Rod or what he's saying. I just wonder sometimes, right? Because I've been in this industry for a long time. I started off in music, I've worked my way through. I worked in hip hop in the 90s. A lot of times I've been the only black person or the only woman, the only black woman, all of those different onlys, right? And one of the things, there's three things in looking back that I attribute, everybody's seen some things, but I've never had these type of experiences. And again, this is not casting judgment, it's asking a question, because Lil Rod said that he was a Christian man and that everything that was happening was against his morals from step 1 to step 2. And I understand you thought you were getting an opportunity with Diddy and all of these things, but when does your moral code kick in? Because he said, Diddy had him procuring prostitutes. He said that Diddy forced him to have sex with sex workers and things of that nature. And I'm not saying that I don't see and understand, but I do wonder, I just wonder, how do you protect people from themselves if they are so open for the opportunity that they lose their moral center? No one should take advantage of anyone. I'm not saying that at all. But how do you help people maintain that so that we don't end up here? Let's talk to Fahima and then we'll play Little Rod.
Hey, Jill, really quick, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily calling about Diddy, but in terms of supposedly boycotting, first off, I was at the African Arts Museum because this is where the whole Cosby story broke. He had an exhibit with the Smithsonian, and this is when the story they had interviewed him, and the reporter had brought up the issue about what the comedian had said. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think at that time that we should have because people were talking about boycotting the exhibit and taking him out of this book they were doing on actors who did their own stunt work, or even boycotting the Cosby Show. I just think that we would then subsequently view these things through a very different lens. And the other piece, Harvey Weinstein ain't making no movies. He hasn't made any movies since he's been on trial. So
No,
how
I
can
know.
you?
Well, I know that, but what I'm saying is still there's, all those films with Miramax, a lot of those big films from the 90s that he's responsible for that could be in a
Right.
Netflix queue. I'm not saying
No,
that
I
we should
understand
or
what you're
shouldn't.
saying.
Okay. Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but he is not profiting from them. Those, if we were to say we're not going to watch these films because Harvey Weinstein produced them, we would only be hurting the actors that
No,
participated in them.
well, I mean, I don't know if he's had to sell or whatever, but as a producer, he still gets residuals.
I don't know if he is.
I mean,
I
maybe
really don't
not for
know.
the things, but I mean, listen, in a traditional structure, like his court case may have, made it so, but he still, as a producer, especially at his level, definitely would still be making money from those projects.
Well, yes, technically he would be, and I don't know if he is or not. I haven't examined it, but with respect to Cosby, I just felt that we would subsequently view him through a different lens because, and the thing is that people would just look at the Cosby Show with a little more scrutiny. And I will just say, she wasn't my friend, but I do know someone who was one of his victims. I think I may have shared the story with you. She was a poet from Brooklyn, New York. And so the thing is, I just think that we would subsequently view Cosby's work, his body of work, through a different lens. And I'll just land there.
Thank you for your call, Fahima. Always insightful. Listen, when we come forward, we're going to get into the little ride. Yes, we will roll this into the third hour because it's a hot topic, right? And I have some more audio to play for you that, again, seems to match up with some of the accusations. And we'll go more into because I'm curious if anyone else, I see, shout out to Urban Spencer in the chat. I have a question for you. I hope that you will answer, but I would like some input into how do you protect people from themselves? Because saying no, don't do drugs, and, not being promiscuous is a key to a lot of these things, and knowing when to go home. We'll talk about that on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I started vaping my freshman year of high school, mostly because all my friends had vapes. I wanted to fit in with them and look cool and be a part of everything that they were doing. The hardest part about quitting for me was all my friends still hitting their vapes right next to me. It was really frustrating and confusing when I was trying to quit because in my head I knew I didn't want to do it anymore, but for some reason my brain still wanted it.
No quit story is the same. For free support, text Kick Nicotine to 66819 today.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024 and beyond. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Listen, KBLA Talk 1580 has released groundbreaking results from a survey about our environmental issues and the impacts of pollution and climate change on our community. The poll provides unique insights into Black voter sentiment and preferences on key environmental and social justice issues. The results highlight that there is a direct connection between environmental justice, social justice, and civil rights. Equally important, respondents overwhelmingly believe that pollution, climate change, and other forms of environmental harm impact Black, Latino, and low-income communities more than white, Asian, wealthy, and coastal communities. To learn more about this new survey and our historic year-long climate justice campaign, go to our KBLA 1580 website right now. Well, maybe after you finish listening to me. And get all the information there. Here at KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community and we care about the climate. Okay, so Tony Yayo says Meek Mill's image is taking a hit. It's not just Meek Mill. It's Meek, he implied. It's Usher. This is the second or third time that Usher has taken a hit behind this. Usher is Stevie Wonder and continuing on with his stuff. It's also Chris Brown being recirculated. I don't know. People are saying this explains some of those videos where Fab was like backing away or other people. You know, all speculation. But let's hear what Lil Rod had to say when he was asking for his dinero.
Hello, everyone. Until further notice, I would not be performing at any gigs or anything like that. For security reasons, my family, friends, and everyone close to me just feels like there's a lot of potential threats, and everybody's just telling me what he's allegedly capable of, and it's very scary for myself, and it has me worried about my kids, and just sleeping with anxiety and different things like that. So just moving forward, just going to pause on everything until we know that it's clear and safe for me to come back outside of work. I appreciate you all for your love and support and everybody that knows.
So that's a little bit of it. It was more. But this is my question. He has children. He was working with Diddy without a contract. He also said that he did not sign an NDA. He was never asked to sign an NDA for over a year. Again, I understand how this business works, but the first time you were groped and you said you felt dismissed by the assistant, again, I hate that it sounds like victim blaming because I'm really asking. We continue to hear these things, and initially we know about love bombing and that it's not violent at first. But I kind of question, you understood fearfully, right? You claim that you were a witness to a shooting, so of course you don't want to speak on anything. But if Puffy had given you what you asked for as far as your publishing royalties and the money, would we be here? And I ask that because there's a lot in there that he says he was encouraged or groomed to do, right? Which again lines up with some of these other things. But when does your center, your moral compass, your Christian values have you say no? And I understand it's about money and fame, but I don't know. How do we help these people that don't think that they would do anything to be famous or rich, but end up becoming that? How do you protect those individuals? Of course, you don't want anyone to take advantage of them, but how do you protect them from that? We want good people, but if you are so open, then people are going to attempt to take advantage of that. I don't know. It's a complicated situation. One thing I can say that I feel like I mentioned this, why maybe I have, different stories or outcomes is that I didn't drink in the 90s. I always have known when to say no thank you, and I know when to go home. Like, I've talked about going to Diddy parties, but I've never been to those type of Diddy parties. Because there's a certain time of the night in anything where it's like, it's time to go home. You see that it's a different, the energy is changing. It's a different element. It is time to go home. Andy?
It also sounds like you wasn't a groupie.
No, but the thing is this. I mean, I think in certain situations, anyone, if we're going by the fact that they were so impressed by this larger than life, superstar image or whatever, in theory, anyone could potentially be in that position of admiring someone. And I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of it because sometimes I wonder, why didn't you go home? Not him, just in general, almost those things. Or why would you return? Even if you didn't go home that night, why would you return? You have kids. I'm not sure. Listen, Urban Spencer says Fab backing away, he has his nerve. There's a video on it. I think that not everybody wants to be a part of the circus. It's different clowns, different circuses, and people sometimes will play and sometimes like, not my game. I'm going to step away. Do we have time? Okay, so we're going to take JW from South Central. Hey, JW.
Hey, yeah, you really inspired me to call back because I'm going to make this make sense for you and answer your question. The real simple answer is God and Satan. God rules the soul. Satan rules the flesh. We're on a worldly system, which is demonic and monetary, as well as what's that term? Can't think of it right now. But just to go back to the major point, Satan knows what you really like. He knows what gets your attention, what influences you, what really he studies a person well. And once a person learns who they really are, and give themselves some mercy and grace, and accept themselves for who they are, and know that they can be influenced or tempted or, driven towards them based on something that appeals to them or their preference or what they like. Because Satan ain't going to bring you a person that you're not interested in to entice you. He's going to bring you that particular individual that, floats your boat, so to speak. So back to Diddy and the youngster that got taken advantage of. If he was young, dumb, and full of You know what?
JW, I want to hear. Wait, I want to hear everything that you have to say. So I'm gonna put a pin in you, and we are going to bring you back for hour 3, so you can continue with your explanation. I like what you said there about giving yourself mercy and grace. That's key and important in every situation. When we come forward, we'll have more on this topic and more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Get your groove on. Take your time tonight. Everything's alright. Ain't nothing but a party.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network.